Guys, it's Fonzie with DipYourCar.com. This is episode number 9. And yes, I did look and cheat ahead of time to make sure I got that right. Of the dipping industry DYC DipCast podcast. And of course, it's Fonzie from DipYourCar.com. With me, as always, is Adam and our sound guy, Dan. We've got a very interesting show for you guys today. Some topics that we've really been excited to talk about, some things that we wanted to cover. We've got a very interesting guest as well. We've got a guy who's been around the dipping industry and the dipping community for a little while now, who's starting to make a name for himself, getting involved in the business side of things as well. Other than that, Adam, what else do we have on the show?
We're actually going to touch on a couple of things, best practices when it comes to safety, prepping car, dipping car, things of that nature, getting ready to dip your car. We're going to talk a little bit about cans versus gallons in terms of should I rattle can my whole car, because
Right.
we get that a lot.
That's something we should probably cover.
Yeah, and then our favorite part of the show, the Q&A. But I think first we have Devin Jefferson on the phone.
Yeah, Devin, how are you, buddy?
Doing all right.
And Devin's calling in from Arkansas. This is a guy who's you haven't been on the dipping scene for too long right now. How long has it been?
I've been dipping for about 3 years, but professionally for about 10 months now.
Okay, so this is a guy who's just started to kind of make a name for himself and been around the DYC Facebook community, Dippers Anonymous, and some of these other places. He takes his job and his work very seriously, but what's really kind of given him an opportunity to get that spotlight and kind of isolate himself for a moment is he got personal with the community. He put up, and I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, we'll make sure we link it. He put up a video, a personal video that explained where he was in his life and how dipping as a whole has really impacted where he is and what he does. So, Devin, if you can give us an idea of, a rundown of where the idea for that video came from, what inspired that?
Well, I've seen your video or your podcast, and you was basically just talking about how you got started in the crazy story with dealing with performance and everything. And it kind of hit me that you basically started whenever I first actually saw the video. I didn't realize that I just kind of stumbled upon something that was really just getting to the point where it's going to be for cars and stuff. And when I seen that and seeing that you went through the struggles of having to deal with the Audi community with dipping your car and stuff like that, I definitely understood that. And I guess I wanted to kind of share my struggle getting started.
Right. Now, I mean, if I had to ask you a pretty loaded question, I mean, you can answer it as briefly or as detailed as you want, but how has dipping at this time affected your life and, the things that you do on a daily basis?
Extremely. I kind of took it on a challenge. Arkansas is a pretty simple place and very traditional. And I came in and basically was like, hey, y'all should dip your car. And they looked at me like basically I was nuts.
Right.
So that was the first challenge, was getting the word out there, showing my work, showing that it can be good, showing that it is a good product, a good quality product. And that was my biggest challenge. But becoming an owner, period, was a huge step for me. I've never done anything like this before. And, I took a leap with something new and, just stuck with it. I just refused to give up, basically.
And what got you started in dipping? I mean, to the point where you really saw this as an opportunity to make a living, make an income. I don't know if you have a family, but maybe even feed your family off of it. What got you started and put that in your head?
Well, actually, strangely enough, it started on accident. I build computers, and I did that at first, but, just a bit of slow thing at the time for computers. I wanted to just make my E36, my BMW E36 matte black, and called a company to get it wrapped. They told me it was like $1,300. I thought that was nuts for a 3 Series convertible. I was like, no, there's no way I'm paying $1,300. Started looking into it. Once again, I saw your video, and I literally built a tent in my backyard with grass and grasshoppers and all kinds of stuff going on. And dipped my car, and it was horrible. It looked really bad. And I just kept doing it, and I did wheels and, made a little extra money on the side. And then my, at the time, girlfriend told me she was pregnant. And at that point, I knew that I needed to really do something major. Not to try to get too personal, but at the time, I had just freshly got out of trouble. Because at the time I just recently got out of jail, and had just my record all messed up, and I made one small mistake and paid for it.
Yeah.
And I needed to do something because I refused to allow my daughter to grow up in a situation where she has to wonder what if.
Right.
I didn't want that to happen. And I wanted to impress her. I want her to be like 4 years old and say, yeah, my dad is the one who owns that shop, and feel good about it. And so I wanted to impress my daughter more than anything else. So I had to do something. It was time for me to make a move. And luckily, just moving on in time, my which at this time she was my fiance, she got a bonus from work, and she literally handed me the money and was like, "Go open the shop."
Wow.
And do what you want to do what you love to do. Stop trying to find a job because nobody will ever hire you. Once you get that on your record, it's over with. And she said, "Go, do it, jump." And I did, and it sucked. I didn't make no money for like a good 2 months, but I didn't give up. I didn't stop. I just kept pushing. I believed in what I was doing. I think that everybody on this planet should have a car dipped. I don't understand why not. You should
Right.
do it. And passionate about it. I love this stuff. I can never change.
So the first couple of steps that you took as far as saying, you know what, I'm setting up this shop. I want to just draw some people in. I really want to make an income on this. The first couple of months, or how long was it until you really started picking up some momentum?
I say it was about a good 3 months, but it was kind of an accident. I kept going to car shows, and even though I was getting picked on and pretty much tortured on a regular basis on Facebook, on like local pages and stuff, I kept doing it. I kept popping my head up in places, and over time I dipped my car and impressed people. I did at the time, it's when you first came out with the pearls and everything. I did hyper black with gold and holographic flakes, and did my wheels Brooklyn gold. And everybody was like, "Whoa!" Like I didn't know that could look like that. And that was after that, they just started rolling in one by one. And strangely enough, not the import guys like I thought. I ended up getting more of the Euro and German cars, just BMWs and Porsches and stuff. I didn't expect that to happen, especially being so new. I didn't see that coming at all.
Okay, so you start building up some momentum. Now, how long has it been since you opened your shop?
For it's since March.
March. Just about coming on a year now. So you started putting it in. I remember seeing you kind of pop up here and there on Dippers Anonymous and the DYC community. You were sharing your projects and sharing the close-ups of getting the job done. And I know that you've been playing around with some really interesting techniques as far as like that soldering knife, that hot knife. We can cover that on another one, because if we are going to talk about something that potentially, I don't want to use the word dangerous, but something that serious, we want to go into a lot of detail on that, so we can revisit that one. But right now the name of your company is Dipped FX, as far as the letters, correct? And we'll make sure we link. And you are right now an authorized Dip Your Car installer. I don't know how many cars you've done, since you signed up as an authorized Dip Your Car installer, but we got a call. What's today? Wednesday. We got a call on Monday. And we get this all the time. Customers that get their cars dipped at installers, they'll give us feedback. Whether it's good feedback, rarely it's bad. If it is bad, we take that very seriously, of course. And we got somebody that called in, left a message. We called them back. They wanted to give us some positive feedback on a car that you did for them. So far, so good. It looks like you've got yourself some momentum going. What are the plans for you and your company, the next couple of months or so?
Well, my big thing for this winter, because I knew it was going to get slow, was to try to get some really unique colors out there with some nice cars. And one of my recent ones was a Corvette, a C6, but it was well built. It had to be every bit about 900 horsepower. It was a monster. Yeah. But I did the Iron Man color on there, and it worked out well. So my plan with this winter has been just to spread my name, get it out there, make sure everybody out here locally knows me. And then go to a lot of car shows. I have a plan to do a huge color on my personal car to go to a lot of car shows to get my name out there even more. But that's been my main focus, was just, oddly enough, a lot of people don't know what it is here. So it's to build Plastic's name here, and then also build my company's name here.
Well, it's funny because we're always surrounded by people that live in the dipping industry. We're surrounded by, obviously our fans and our customers, people in these dipping forums and Facebook groups, and everybody thinks that dip is so mainstream now and everybody must know about it. But if you take a step back, we haven't even really scratched the surface yet. If you collect 20 random people in a grocery store or here or there, even if they're in our demographic, say 16 to 35-year-old males, for example, or females for that matter, out of those 20 people, the real deal, and this is not a double-blind science experiment that I'm going to be quoting, but out of that 20 people, my opinion is not enough of them would know what dipping is. We've got a lot more work to do. We got a lot, and in the mainstream sponsorships, like our partnership with NASCAR, the UFC fighters, things like that, we're trying to get out into that public eye more and more, and you can see it. You can see, when we just did another UFC fight, nights like that, or the NASCAR races, when you watch our traffic, we get 300, 400% the amount of normal traffic that night and the 12 hours after when we do something like that. And my phone always blows up with people, I saw Dip Your Car. We've got to take those steps. We've got to try to push the dipping industry to the next level. Because guys like you, Devin, I mean, you're a dipping company. You make money, you pay bills, you feed people when people come in to get dips. So it's our responsibility as your partner, essentially, to make sure we can get people's eyes open so that they understand and are interested in the product.
I definitely agree. In fact, last year I painted my car pink for my mom, and they let me drive, not in the actual parade, but actually while people were walking. Most people had like wheelchairs and stuff, and my mom had a to sit in the car, with the top down, and I was driving with her name down the side and a quote, and just all about breast cancer awareness. And everybody asked me, why would you paint your car pink? And I tell them I didn't.
Right.
This wrap, this liquid wrap, this plastic dip, this stuff, I let them scratch it, tear it up, peel it off.
Right.
And I think that made a huge impact. Tons of pictures taken of it.
Absolutely.
During that time.
And everybody who finds out about it is going to tell more and more people, and that's the idea.
Exactly.
So the last question I have for you before I let you go, if dipping didn't exist, if you weren't running a dipping company right now, what do you think you'd be doing?
That actually, I have no idea. I actually think about that quite often, and honestly, I don't know, because I probably would end up with a wrap car and not really all that satisfied. Dipping it's made such a huge impact on my life that I don't think I can really picture my life, with something else. I have no idea what I'll be doing. I don't think I'll be at my full potential like I feel that I am now. If that didn't have this involved, this going on, basically.
Well,
it works perfect for me, because you have to be kind of crazy to go for it.
Yeah, I know that too.
Go for it type of stuff.
I know. It's funny because creative people and artistic people and people who have that skill set that they want to work with their hands. Everybody's got different outlets that they find where they can really flourish in that. And if you found the dipping industry and that's where you're thriving right now, man, I mean, more power to you. We absolutely appreciate your participation on the DYC community Facebook page and everywhere that you're participating and everything you're doing. And we wanted to give you a chance to tell your story. And the reason why is I'm sure there's a ton of people that are relating to you right now, 100%.
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised by my response to the video. To this day, I'm still getting comments on it. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I didn't expect that, but I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, everybody loved that, man, because it was very real. It was real and it was personal, and it's one of those things where it's like if you wrote in a diary, that's probably what you would have been saying. And instead you put it onto a video and decide, you know what, I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to share this with the community. And a lot of people related to it. A lot of people were on the same page as you, man. So we really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. We're going to link that video. I'll get the YouTube link from you so we can link it in the description of the podcast, and Adam will remind me to do that because I forgot to do that last time.
I'll put it in my notes.
Right. And, of course, if there's anything that you need from us at Dip Your Car, we'll be more than happy to help you. And, again, appreciate you coming on the show, dude.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, Devin. Take care.
All right, you too.
I think that's just such an awesome story right there.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard this a bunch of times before, and Devin's a perfect example of it. It's these people that just find dipping, and they're like, oh, I'm pretty damn good at this and I want to do more. And then their brain just sets off. They're like, I wonder what this color would look like. I wonder what would happen if I did this, this, and this. And he's the type of guy who's always trying new things and trying to push the limits. He wants to grow.
Right.
And there's a lot of people out there like that. I thought it was a great opportunity to let him kind of share his experience with everybody. And I thought it was good.
I think at this time, actually, DipFX is the only authorized installer in the whole state of Arkansas. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I think I checked that.
Yeah, if he's not the only, he's one of the few.
Right.
You know.
And like he mentioned, you know, I tell this to people all the time on the phone, whether they're authorized installers or people that are potential installers. You know, ultimately, your personal vehicle and your shop vehicle and your employees' vehicles, that's your best marketing tool. So he had mentioned, you know, dipping his car for his mom and, you know, taking it out on that parade. And, you know, that's a head turner right there. And whether it's something like that or just, you know, driving around in this bold, exotic type of look or something a little bit less exotic.
Yeah, and he is actually the only installer, authorized Dip Your Car installer in Arkansas. If you want to get in touch with Devin and get your car dipped, he's in Jacksonville, Arkansas. His phone number is 501-859-4129. Devin, DEVIN .dippedfx, DIPPEDFX @gmail.com. And his Facebook, which always has some pretty sweet pictures, is facebook.com/dippedfx. So if you want to get in touch with Devin in Arkansas and get your car dipped, he will definitely get the job done for you.
Right.
What do we got next?
I think we should go over some pointers, safety pointers, go over some best practice type stuff. I know we had actually somebody sent a question that kind of spawned this, and we decided not only to touch base on that specific question, but let's go ahead and roll with it and come up with a couple different points, best practice wise.
I think it's time for us to really just kind of give everybody a little bit of a refresh and say, hey, let's make sure that we all pay attention to some safety guidelines. I mean, we are working with a flammable and hazardous material. It's very user-friendly, but let's respect it for what it is. First and foremost, we're going to talk about the warming of cans, or the desire to warm aerosol cans or gallons. At the end of the day, especially at this time of the year, there's a lot of people who are in cold climates. And if aerosol cans, for example, get really cold, they don't spray as well. They don't atomize as nicely. They don't level as well. So what a lot of people will do is try to warm up those cans.
Right.
Before they use them. I will tell you one thing. If you choose to warm up a can, please do it responsibly. Obviously, no open element heat, don't do anything. I mean, use common sense with that. I don't even have to say some of the ridiculous things that you don't want to do. One of the things that you can do, and something that we've been doing for a very long time, because it does get chilly in Florida, especially in 2012 when we were doing those installations, we were using aerosol cans on people's wheels all the time. What you may want to think about doing, if you do choose to warm your aerosol cans, is you can invest $30 or whatever into a crock pot. A crock pot is one of those big ceramic dishes. It automatically heats up. Fill it up with water. Put it on the low setting. It just needs to be warm. Doesn't have to be hot water, boiling water. And let the cans soak in there for a couple minutes in the warm water. Shake them up. Put them back in. And then they're going to spray much smoother and much better. So if you do need to warm up aerosol cans, plop them in a crock pot on warm. Be careful. Don't leave them in there a long time. I mean, we obviously have to be careful from a liability point of view. A couple minutes, but use common sense, common safety sense, and crock pot works really well with that. If you are choosing to warm a gallon, if a gallon was left in the garage outside in 30-degree weather and you don't want to spray it at 30 degrees, here's what I'll tell you. The only warming technique that I would be comfortable supporting at this time is bring it inside and let it get room temperature.
Right.
If you know that you're going to dip tomorrow, your house is not going to be 30 degrees. Your apartment or whatever you're in is not going to be 30, 40 degrees. It's probably going to be in the 68 to 75 range, something like that if you're in a cold climate. I mean, you guys lived in cold. I mean, how warm did it get inside when you turned the heat on?
I mean, yeah, you keep it at around 72, 73.
Okay.
Wish we could crank the studio temperature up to about those
temperatures. It's like 60.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't feel cold right now. You're
Whatever.
bundled up
I
to
digress.
the gills.
I digress.
Velez? He's freezing. I don't feel it. I don't know why. bring the dip inside. Bring the
Right.
gallons inside. Let them get to room temperature. 70 degrees is a great temperature to spray dip.
Right.
If you bring it in overnight and you shake it up a bunch of times, it will reach room temperature. Anything other than that, I'm not saying there aren't safe ways to warm gallons, but nothing that we would support.
Just stand behind. Yeah, right. Exactly.
And that's a very important thing for us. I mean, we're selling, again, a product that is hazardous. It is a product that it needs to be respected and treated properly.
Right.
Next is what?
That's actually we're going to touch on respirators. This was the question that was emailed to me specifically. What kind of respirator or mask do you use when you're spraying, and what kind of safety features are you looking for in that respirator, and how often do you replace the filter parts and things like that?
Let's just talk about general use of respirators.
Right.
You have to use a respirator. You really should. I mean, in the beginning, I'll tell you right now, in the beginning, the videos that we did, I wasn't wearing a respirator.
Somebody posted one of those actually, I think today in Dip
Yeah,
was
I know.
Anonymous.
Well, and I was outside.
Mhm.
I'll be honest with you. Even if you're outside, you should wear a respirator because there will be fumes and particles coming at you. It's, we'll talk about where to get them and the price and everything in a second. But I learned the hard way. Yeah, there are Dip Your Car videos where I am not wearing a respirator, not really spraying a whole car, obviously, only that one where I was outside. But I mean, inside doing wheels, if you're using aerosol cans, if you're using the spray gun, even if you're checking on your car after coats, while all those solvents are flashing out of the dip and up into the air, you should have a respirator on. And I'll tell you right now, and I'm going to be dead honest, in the beginning, when I was running this out of my garage, and we were self-mixing pre-thinned gallons for people before we knew what we were doing. I mean, before we got real guidance from Plasti-Dip and we were just kind of getting everything off the ground, we were mixing 5-gallon drums of Plasti-Dip, 50-50 with naphtha thinner and a couple other thinners. We were spreading them out. We were pouring them into single gallons in a closed garage with no respirators. We would work in that. Brad and I would do it together. We would work in that garage. By the time we were done, an hour, 2 hours later, I didn't even know where I was.
Mm-hmm.
I remember laying in bed sometimes after those couple of days when we were doing that and just realizing I feel wasted right now.
Right.
And I don't drink, so it's like I didn't like feeling that. I talked to Brad one day. I was like, dude, and we only did that 3 or 4 times before we realized, what are we doing?
Right.
We woke up real quick, and we were like, dude, we've got to do this the right way. We went to Home Depot, we bought respirators, we came back, and then we were able to work 4 or 5 hours in a row without any issues. We were starting to crack the garage door. So what I'm saying is I went through it so you guys don't have to.
Right.
I'm telling you, get a respirator. If you're spraying aerosols, gallons, anything, wear a respirator. You can get them at DipYourCar.com, obviously, like $28. You can get them anywhere. You can get them at a hardware store. Even if I don't care if you buy it at Dip Your Car or not, get a respirator.
Right.
They're not going to cost you more than $20 or $30. You'll have it for a long period of time. A lot of them have replaceable carbon filters on them, which are not very expensive. What we do is we do like 2 videos a week, sometimes 1. We do a lot of testing, so at least 3 days a week I'm in there for a couple hours of testing. Gabe's in there all the time spraying in the shop. We replace our respirator cartridges, I think, once a month, based on how much actual time we're using the respirators. I think that's what the manufacturer calls for, and you guys can do, depending on how many times you use it a month. But at the end of the day, wear your respirator, pay attention to it, and give your lungs a fighting chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just be responsible.
Right. It's one of those things. Pay the $20, $30, whatever it costs, because long term it's going to save you.
Right.
And then kind of touching on that, I mean, you did talk about how you had the door cracked a little bit. What about ventilation? The respirators obviously saving you, but you're still getting chemicals.
Closed garage is not a good place to dip a car. You gotta have fresh, moving air. You can't just have a closed box and you're building these vapors and everything in there, even with the respirator. You have to be responsible. This is, again, you're doing a big project. You're painting a whole car. If you don't have a spray booth, wherever you're doing this, you want to have some fresh moving air. Crack a door, crack a window, do something. Ventilation is key. It says on the gallon, on the plastic gallon, and on the aerosol can, use in ventilated area. There's an insert that we put into every Dip Your Car sprayer explaining to you what is and is not an appropriate place to spray. And please, just if you're going to be spraying, if you're going to be using the products, get yourself some ventilation and make sure the area you're using the product in is sufficient.
All right. What about this is a photo that when we first came up with the community Dip Your Car community Facebook page, we saw a couple photos that we addressed. People actually spraying body parts and things of that nature. And that's, I mean, obviously that should be something that we shouldn't even really need to talk about being a huge no-no, but
don't dip yourself.
Moving on. What about gloves?
Oh yeah, we like to buy those blue nitrile gloves. We have them in the shop all the time. Whether you're mixing pearls or you're using Proval sprayers, which can get very messy, you don't have to wear gloves every time you dip. But if you're going to be doing something that gets messy, you're going to be touching the product, you're going to be, whatever you're going to be doing, it doesn't hurt to have gloves. And obviously, we're spending some serious time on this safety issue or safety topic. We've never talked about it before. We have the FAQ section on the website. And we have some suggestions and stuff like that. And there's warnings on all the products. But I think it's about time we just kind of talk about it. Everybody who listens to this will be on the same page. And the beauty of it is the people who listen to this, and I say this every episode, are so freaking gangster. What they do is they take the information they hear on the episode and then they rip people.
Yeah.
Then they correct people when there's a question or a topic on, like, dude, covered that in the DipCast, do this, covered that. So hopefully if we can hit as many people as possible with the right safety regulations, and maybe, there's new people picking up this product every day. And there's no way that every single person who uses this for the first time or first couple times is going to know, oh, I should have a respirator on.
Right.
Or, oh, I should do this in a well-ventilated area. And then the last piece that you had on there was space heaters. This is a very relevant topic for right now. I live in Florida, so I don't know a lot about space heaters. I'm telling you right now. And I know some people that use space heaters in the areas that they dip in, and they're perfectly fine. I'm just going to put it out there. Be really careful if you plan on using a space heater anywhere near where you dip. It's obviously common sense, but I see it popping up on different Facebook groups and forums. Oh, it was 30 degrees, but I was using my heater and I brought it up to 70 and I popped my dip off. Everything went perfect. Well, please be careful if you're going to do that.
Right.
It's not a blanket statement saying that space heaters are always going to be safe. That's simply not the case.
Right.
All right.
Maybe we could get one in the studio.
We don't need one in the studio. It's like 85 degrees. And enough with the safety stuff. But it's important that everybody gets on the same page. Yeah, what else we got? I can't follow this.
All right. Well, you're not a notes guy. That's why I bring my notes. The second topic we were going to touch base on, and this is one that probably 3-4 times a day we see on not only the forums, on the community, but I'll receive calls, or Christina or Brad receives calls about, hey man, how many cans does it take to dip my Honda Civic? And a lot of people will refer to, hey, I saw Fonzie, right when he first started dipping cars, using cans. Things evolve. So,
well, luckily we didn't have the YouTube channel when I first started dipping cars with cans. I can't stress this enough. Dipping cars with spray cans is extraordinarily difficult. If somebody gave me a car and said, all right, I'll give you $1 million if you can take 4 or 5 cases of dip and make this car look the same that you can make it look if you use the sprayer, I don't even know, dude. I would, it's almost impossible. It's
right.
Impossible is a big word. I hate to use that word, but it is extraordinarily difficult to get a good finish on a large surface area using aerosol cans. And there's reasons for that. It's not because, oh, don't use spray cans because it's going to be very difficult because you're not that good with them. I don't care how much graffiti you've done or spray can painting you've done. A car has very large surfaces and a lot of horizontal large surfaces. Spray cans are not designed to spray down.
Right.
Once you go past 45 degrees and then you go further, you're going to start spitting air, and you're not going to get solid fluid going through the nozzle, and you're going to have a very difficult time spraying those, like the hood, the trunk lid, the roof, for example. It's not going to happen.
Right.
People don't say, oh man, don't rattle can your car because it's cheap. Don't rattle can your car because it's stupid. Well, I'm sure people say that, but people who know what they're talking about don't say that.
There's a reason behind it.
Yeah, they don't want to see you driving around with a zebra striped sandpaper car.
Right.
It doesn't do a heck of a lot for the industry, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't mind people who do their first dip job and it doesn't come out perfect. I would never tell that person not to drive around with it. That's not my style. You do your first dip job. If it doesn't come out great and you have a couple stripes or something, I'm not going to jump on your back and tell you to rip it off. It's your first dip job.
Right.
So what? Mine didn't look great either. But people are telling you not to aerosol can your car because that's going to be way past that, man.
Right.
So, and also you're going to be wasting money.
Right.
11 aerosol cans to get the amount of dip that's in 1 gallon. So if you're talking about a standard sedan, just say 4 gallons, 3 or even, you're talking about 33 to 44 cans. And you're talking about spending that much money and getting chances are a very poor result versus spending a little bit more, getting the tools that are really made and designed to get the job done,
right,
and having something that you're proud of.
Right. And I remember when you had initially started the company and you were doing, excuse me, not only your car, but, wheels and just doing all that testing, and you'd, use those cans for everything. And I remember after even a couple days, but more along a couple weeks, I remember you complaining about your finger and your wrist and.
Yeah, well, I still have tendon issues in this because even from just pulling the trigger on the gun.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't care. Even if you have that plastic spray trigger, if you're talking about a spray pattern the size of a quarter at best, or a little vertical, a little higher than that, and you need to lay down wet overlapping coats. I don't know how many freaking passes that is per door, but at the end of the day, we can wrap this up by saying spray canning your car is not the suggested method. And if you're thinking about spray canning your car, and if somebody suggests that you don't, there's a reason behind that. And I'm telling you right now, personally, don't take the fact that I did it and say that that's a reason to do it, because I'm the one who's telling you right now that that's not the route to go.
Right.
It's just not.
All right, let's move on to Q&As. I think we handled those topics or whatever. First question is from Daniel. And actually, we got a bunch of questions this week that had to do a lot with, obviously, the new DYC top coat, but also pearls, which was kind of nice. So Daniel asked if you could kind of give a reference scale to what are some of the easier pearls compared to some of the harder pearls to work with if you're somebody that's just getting involved in the pearls. Obviously, I'll say this on the phone all the time.
That's a great
Regular
question.
sprayable gallons is the first step. And then once you get the handle of that, you can move on to the pearls. But there's definitely a sliding scale that comes involved with the pearls.
That's actually a really good question. If it's your first time using pearls, there definitely are sets of pearls that would be great starting points. Right off the bat, you want to stick to color matching, I'll tell you that. So if it's your first time using pearls, regardless of what pearl you pick, and we'll cover that in a second, but go for a color match. If you want to do black pearls, use a black base. If you want to do like a colored pearl, color match your base. That's definitely the first thing you want to do. One really user-friendly set of pearls is the Nebula series. The Nebula pearls cover outstandingly fast from the blue, the purple, the red, the green. in Nebula Yellow, especially if you're color matching, of course, those cover extremely quickly. They really fight any striping or anything like that, or any spraying problems. The Nebula series is an awesome one to go after, and the colors are beautiful. Nebula Blue is still in the top 3 all-time selling pearls, I think. Or maybe it dropped to 4, but it's still for sure in the top 5 of all-time selling pearls. People love Nebula Blue. If you want to go color changing and you're saying, yeah, well, I want something with a little bit more of a mystique to it, a little more color change, the Midnight series pearls are perfect for that. They are dark. They have awesome color change to them. Not super aggressive color change, but just enough. They have really great tones to them, and the coverage is outstanding as well. You can go right over a black base, and actually, any of the Nebula pearls you can go, except for yellow, you can go over a black base if you really want to. But color matching works really well for that. And then the Midnight pearls as well. Awesome coverage, super user friendly. That would be it. Now, if you want to go outside of that, you want to pick a regular standard candy pearl, you're like, well, I want to go with a brighter blue than Nebula, or I want to go with a different green. That'll work just fine, but color match your base.
Right.
I promise you, you're gonna save money because you won't need as much product on top. You won't need as many pearl coats. You won't have to worry about the striping or anything like that. It's gonna work out so much better.
Right. And I know that our technicians on staff and myself will always kind of recommend that. Hey, is it, somebody will say, hey, I want to do RL71. Well, have you ever dipped a car before? No. And not that ultimately, it's your car, it's your decision. You got to do what you think works best for you. We're not going to try to necessarily talk you out of that, but we're going to give optimal recommendations. Start small, build from that.
Yeah.
So where would you so you've kind of talked about the easier pearls, then kind of let's work our way up to the middle stages and maybe the most difficult level of pearls.
I mean, the middle stages is wide open, because any of the pearls in the middle, any candy pearl, essentially, as long as you're color matching the base, is going to be really user friendly. When you start going to contrasting bases, that's when you start getting some challenges. If you want to use a blue or an orange pearl over like a black base, for example, you're going to be there for a little while. You're going to really have to build that up. It may give you the best end result because the black underneath is going to give you the most contrast, but you're going to be there. You're going to spend some extra money. You're going to need some extra materials. Yeah. So anything in the middle there, you start getting a little bit more difficult when you get into the chameleons, because the chameleons are traditionally done over a black base, which is contrasting. You're going to definitely want to walk the car. You want to make sure everything kind of comes out even, because when you're going for those color changes, you have to have solid, even coverage, or those color transitions. You're going to show the imperfections there. You're going to show the cloudiness. You're going to show the inconsistencies. So the chameleon pearls get a little bit more difficult. The color flip pearls are very interesting because they're a larger particle size, so they're a little bit more forgiving in some ways. They cover a little bit faster than the chameleon pearls. So those, I guess, would be something that you can definitely jump on. And then, of course, the most difficult are any of the white color changing pearls, or white based like brilliant pearls, like the Martian series, the Alien series, Aqua Violet, color flip. Those are by far the most difficult because almost all of them need to go over a black base coat except Martian red. And when you drop those large particles down, man, I'll tell you what, you have to get perfect even coverage, or else you're going to see the black cloudiness underneath. You're going to see streaking. And B, that ever-present danger of overdoing it and then whiting out. So be careful. The white color changing pearls, the aliens, and even the Martians, we really like to reserve those or suggest those for someone who's got a little bit more experience or a little bit more of the patience. I'll tell you what, we had how many people over the past couple months that have decided to use an alien pearl or a Martian pearl first, even though we've warned them, hey, just making sure you know this is more of an advanced pearl. They watch the videos. They watch the one video of how to use a white color changing pearl, and they end up pulling off a great job.
Right.
So it's definitely possible. You just got to pay attention to what you're doing.
And you can always call us anytime, Monday through Saturday, for any of that technical advice, for sure.
Yeah, and take advantage of that.
Right.
I mean, we make everybody in the customer service team available, the product techs, because we want you guys to call in and use them. I mean,
Right.
it does nothing for us if you buy the product and then don't enjoy the outcome.
Right.
Because even from a business point of view, from a personal point of view, obviously we really want you to enjoy your purchase. And then if you being honest and transparent from a business point of view, we want you to enjoy your car. We want you to show it off to people. We want you to talk about the product. If you don't have a good end result, it's not good for us as a business either. We
Right.
want you to spread the word. Please take advantage of the services that we have for you because we want you to feel like you got your money's worth.
Right. Right. Next question is from Tom. He actually wanted to know if with the new DYC top coat, popping off and pre-orders already, getting ready to ship out mid-March, are we going to release some pearl at that same time that we haven't teased or anything like that?
That's an interesting question. No. And the reason why is because if you've been following me on Instagram, you know very clearly, pun intended, and no pun intended, you know very clearly that the new top coat is going to really shift and change the way people look at pearls. Check out my Instagram. Take out a look at the picture of the Iris Violet Dip Pearl. On the left side was the Dip Pearl mixed into the old 50/50 Glossifier Matte Clear. On the right side, it was mixed into the new top coat. It's night and day.
Right.
So the reason why we're not going to launch any new pearls as the new top coat comes out is because all the old ones that we have are going to have a whole new lifespan all over again.
They're all new pearls.
They're all new pearls. Radiant Red in the old 50/50 looks totally different in the new top coat. That goes for, I'm using Radiant Red as an example because we sprayed that yesterday. It's crazy. It's not a bland, solid red. It's got sparkle to it. It's got life and depth.
It's radiant.
It's radiant. It really does add a lot of and depth is a very key word because you're going to see the depth of these pearls with this new top coat. And we've been starting to very slowly and cautiously bringing just a little bit of test product out to a very small amount of long-time Dip Your Car authorized installers that we've had relationships with, putting the product in their hands, letting them test it a little bit, and the pictures that they're sending in, it's showing that depth, it's showing the clarity, it's showing the gloss levels, and these guys are extremely impressed with it, and they're having a really fun time testing with it. I want to talk a little bit more about that. I can't right now, but there's going to be more there. And there's another piece to that. It's something very important that I wanted to touch on. It just kind of came to mind as we talk about these pearls. It's a little bit shocking to me, the lack of people that are starting to grasp that this product, this new Dip Your Car top coat, is not only excels as a high gloss top coat, but one of the main reasons we made it is for people to have a better substrate to use for their pearl coats. And I see this all the time on Dippers Anonymous and on the DYC Facebook group, people asking every day, "Oh, is that DYC high gloss? Can you use that with pearls too? Can I?" And people are like, yeah. Some people still don't know. And it's gotten to the point where it's really kind of moved me to actually change the name of the product even. Because if this product was only used as a high gloss top coat or primarily used as a high gloss top coat, only 50% of the capabilities of this product would be utilized. We'd be missing out on half of the entire reason or beauty behind this product. The clarity that you're going to get when mixing, and it suspends pearls very well. You definitely want to use this as your pearl coats as well. Even if you don't put a gloss on top, it's going to give you a crisp, clean satin finish without any gloss layers on top. And when the next car we do, I think I'm going to just use it for the pearl coats and not put it on top so that people can see exactly how it's going to come out. But it's gotten to the point where I'm like, people aren't necessarily grasping the full concept that this is really, really, it excels being used for pearls. So we're actually going to be changing the name before the launch from Dip Your Car Top Coat High Gloss Finishing Clear to Dip Pearl Top Coat High Gloss Pearl and Finishing Clear. And make sure people, when they see that label, I want them to visually connect that I can use this for my pearl coats and my high gloss top coats when I'm ready. And that's really why the product was designed. So we are going to be actually changing the name. You're going to see an updated label for that. It's going to be the Dip Pearl Top Coat, high gloss pearl and finishing clear.
Well, you just stole my last question. So
What was the last question?
Well, that was it.
What was it?
I mean, it was, can I mix pearls directly into the new DYC top coat?
Yes,
So,
and I encourage you to, and I will continue to share pictures with you guys showing what an impact this makes when you use this versus the other. And listen, I understand very clearly that this top coat is priced higher than the other stuff. I'm going to be nice about this when I say it, but considering what this product is, what it does, what it's capable of, the raw material costs that go into it, $89 is an extremely fair price. I will say that I was encouraged by the manufacturer to go way above where we are. And I had to explain that it was much more important for me to get this gallon into the hands of as many people as possible so that they can enjoy it and use it and talk about it versus worrying about how many dollars Dip Your Car makes per gallon. I'd rather make a much lower profit margin on it and sell a lot more than making it a premium product that only a couple people can get their hands on.
Because that's what people love about this product. I can change the color of my car without having to spend a ton of money.
Right.
It's a cost-efficient way to change the color of your
So
car.
realistically, I say this as friendly as I can. If this product is too expensive for you, stick with Glossifier. And don't take advantage of that next level product. But you're talking what 20? How many? Glossifier is $66 or $69,
$63, $64,
something like that.
If you buy multiple gallons.
So it's a couple bucks more per gallon, $20-something more per gallon, whatever it is. But the end result is going to be completely different. Right. So I definitely encourage you to take a look at the new Dip Pearl Top Coat and really pay attention to using that for your pearl coats and the gloss top coat as well. It will genuinely have an impact on the way that your car comes out. So, boom.
That's it.
That's it. So I think that's everything we got. Next week should be interesting. We can't really talk about it, but next week should be definitely interesting, and we have a blast doing this with you guys. I want to thank Devin for being on the show. It's Fonzie from Dip Your Car with Adam, the note guy, and Dan gave him a little head bob for him. Boom. It's getting easier and easier every time. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.